Greetings everyone. So I've got to show you some clips of this stand-up comedian doing his set in London because it really is quite brave what he's done here. You've got to understand, the UK generally is a liberal hellhole. England is a very liberal hellhole. And London is the epicenter of that very liberal hellhole. So to be able to go to a place where they're doing stand-up comedy anywhere in London and just do an entire pro-life set is something quite incredible. To just throw in one pro-life joke or say one thing against abortion in your set is already amazing. To do an entire set that's pro-life and anti-abortion is truly fantastical. So I'm going to show you some of these clips from this comic. I think he's an Italian-Iranian comic. I don't want to play the whole thing because I'm going to link the video of the set that you can actually go and watch the whole set. I don't want to steal the whole set and just play it here. But I will show you some hilarious clips from this. And good on this guy. His name is Nicholas De Santo. And here we go. Let's have a look at some of his comedy that he did in London just recently, I think like a couple of months ago or so. So here we go.
Listen guys, I feel there's a good vibe in this room. I feel the warmth. I feel safe, so I'm going to say something and I don't care who hears this. I'm just going to say it, okay? I'm going to say it. Nazis were bad. There you go. I said it. It's out there. I can't take it back, can I? Nazis were bad and they did horrible things. And one of the worst things they did was getting rid of the so-called unwanted, defective people who would have been a burden or deemed as a burden on the society, including unborn babies. I will be doing some jokes later. Don't worry about that. So all my life I've been told that it was wrong, it was bad to get rid of unborn babies because they would have been a burden on the German Reich and its aspirations of world supremacy. But nowadays we are being told that it's good to get rid of unborn babies because they would be a burden on Karen from accounting and her aspirations of getting a promotion. I mean, I don't get that. If anything, Nazis made a better case. Bear with me on this one. Bear with me. The Nazis would go to this unborn baby, you got to die. But why? I tell you why. Because all German-speaking folk must be reunited in one single ancestral fatherland. That's why. Because the Versailles Treaty was a travesty. You don't know much about the Versailles Treaty, do you? We lost Danzig. Our territorial integrity has been interrupted. There are Germans now living under Poland, under Czechoslovakia. There are Germans living under Mussolini. Well, we kind of like Mussolini, but that's not the point. Das ist nicht der Punkt. We need to make this wrong right, and we cannot sustain the war effort if we were to take care of the likes of you. Now, fast forward to our time, you tell the unborn baby, you got to die. Why? I tell you why. Because your mom needs to continue to do after-work drinks and Peloton. Do you know how much Peloton subscription costs? Because your mom is a junior events manager with Thompson & Thompson. She wants to become a senior events manager with Thompson & Thompson. What the hell is an events manager anyway? At least the Nazis had a clear defined goal based on solid geopolitical principles. Our land is flat. We are sandwiched between Russia and France. We need to take them out.
So there we go. Here's this guy standing on stage in liberal London telling his audience that the Nazis were not as bad as the people doing abortions now. If you go into a place and you say this kind of thing here in London, not only will they not laugh, you'll probably get jeered, booed. It's amazing that because he's done his material so well, he's managing to get them to laugh. Now, of course, he's exaggerating, you know. I mean, the Nazis were pretty horrendous, but abortion is pretty horrendous too, if you actually think about it and calculate just how many millions of babies are killed around the world every single year. Anyway, let's watch a bit more of this.
Some of you are sitting here thinking, the Nazis did make a lot of sense. This is going seriously better than it did at University of Southampton campus.
So a fantastic reference there to how universities these days are basically just liberal institutions, and none of the students want to hear anything that's challenging. As soon as somebody comes on and starts saying things that they just can't wrap their minds around because they've been brainwashed with leftist ideology, they flip out and go crazy. So he's referencing that. And again, it's funny and people are laughing, and good on him.
A lot of women killing their babies for their careers. Can you imagine killing your baby for your career and still be paid 30% less than a man? Can you imagine that? I mean, you can only imagine that because gender pay gap is a myth. It has been debunked time and time again.
So he also manages to throw in the gender pay gap thing, which is brilliant. It is nonsense. There's no gender pay gap. It's something that's pushed by liberals throughout, that women are paid less than men, and actually if you look into it in a detailed way you can see that's not true at all.
It was a major victory for Catholic biology. Do you guys know Catholic biology? I was born in Italy. I went to Catholic school. You know, according to progressive biology, they say my body, my choice, because according to progressive biology, a woman at some points in her life, she has a second beating heart, an extra pair of kidneys, 4 extra limbs. But according to Catholic biology, a woman throughout her life has only one brain, one heart, and so forth. So, in other words, if you're a woman and you ever find a second beating heart in your body, it's not your body. And if you're a man and you ever find a second beating heart in your body, it's not your body. Also, you are not a man.
So a little dig at transgenderism there, basically saying if you are a person who finds a second beating heart in your body, you're a woman.
Disney Corporation is paying travel expenses for its employees so they can travel to blue states and get an abortion. I mean, Disney produces content for children, and now they're subsidizing the killing of children? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You're killing your own future customers. It's like Central London declaring war on Russian oligarchs. It makes no sense.
So he's just brilliantly weaving all kinds of things into this abortion argument, attacking Disney, that's also just a horrific ideological wasteland at the moment, attacking them for subsidizing abortions. Even has a dig at the Russian oligarchs in London that it seems that no one seems to care about. You know, suddenly everyone's up in arms about Russia, but they were quite happy for Russian oligarchs to be in London just buying up property and then leaving it empty. So in this pro-abortion set, he manages to touch on so many aspects of this crazed leftist loony ideology. It's fantastic to watch.
But now in America, Planned Parenthood, they're coming with mobile abortion clinics. They're using these RV wagons, turning them into mobile abortion clinics, driving close to the borders of the red states, trying to lure pregnant women to these clinics. Even the Nazis were not like that. They didn't come up with, you know, their iconic Volkswagen camper vans, driving close to the Swiss border with their mobile gas chambers, trying to tempt the Swiss to give up their Jews. The Nazis had principles.
Even the Nazis were not doing what you're doing. You're enticing women to come over and kill their children. Even the Nazis weren't doing that. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's amazing that he's managed to do this in London.
By the way, what sort of messed up, cynical name is it? Planned Parenthood. Because there's no planning and there's no parenthood. Yeah, I'm planning to become a parent. Okay, let's start with killing your baby. By the time you leave the clinic, there is no parenthood. It's like I am planning my visit to Australia and I start by shredding my tickets to Australia.
It's just fantastic, isn't it? Because it's all true. And it's like, obviously the subject matter is quite dark, but you know, sometimes, you know, you need stand-up comedy to just sort of, even when you're talking about dark things, to just give people a release. And this is all true, and the people are laughing because they get it. They get like, yeah, this is true, and that's why he's done it in a clever way, and it's funny. Brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight here we made history. You've just seen the world's only pro-life stand-up act, which means you have just seen the world's funniest pro-life stand-up act. So if nothing else works out for you in your lives, nobody can take this from you tonight. It's so easy to be on top of your field as a right-wing comedian when the field is very much a desert, right?
All right, folks. So that's what I'm going to play. Again, if you want to see the set, do go into my description and click on the link to watch his set. Now, this is actual pro-life comedy. I know sometimes people bring up like, oh, Dave Chappelle did a pro-life bit in his set. And I'll watch that and I'll think, okay, you kind of maybe slightly alluded to it, but it wasn't really obviously pro-life. And the rest of his set was pretty much very liberal. Or Chris Rock recently did a pro-life bit in his set. Again, I watched it. I mean, you could maybe say there was some elements of pro-lifeness to it, but ultimately it wasn't completely pro-life. And again, if you watch his whole set, it's mostly liberal nonsense. Dave Chappelle, for example, was basically saying, yes, ladies, you should be permitted to have an abortion, but men should also be permitted, if you decide to keep the baby, not to pay child support. And he says, if you get to kill the baby, the man should at least be able to abandon it. So you could argue that was kind of a pro-life argument in a sense, or he's trying to make people think about it a little bit. But if you watch the rest of his set, you see he's not a conservative. He's far from being a conservative. Same with Chris Rock. He recently said, women should be able to have an abortion, but it is killing a child, and you should be able to kill your child even when the child is born, even right up until they get their report card. So again, he's not really making an obvious pro-life argument, but he is saying, yes, it is killing a baby. Someone could argue maybe they're trying to sort of squeeze it in a very indirect way. But again, I did watch the recent Chris Rock special, and it was in the vast majority liberal stuff, lots of bad language, lots of sexual content. So it's not, he's not a good comedian to watch overall if you're conservative or right-leaning. Whereas this guy, Nicholas De Santo, he is a right-leaning guy. He's a conservative guy, and he's just done an entire pro-life set in London. So well done to him. Do check out the set in the description, and thank you very much for watching, folks.